Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball discussion video. Now, if that hasn't already spoiled it, my guest today is World King Kanji. Kanji, what's up?
Yeah, not much flatulent.
This is just gonna be a thing over and over and over again. Anyway, guys,
Yeah.
we have something to talk about today, and basically, I want to talk about one of, if not my favorite, at least one of their at least top 5 of one of my favorite scenes in all of the Dragon Ball series. And basically, I want to talk about exactly why I feel like a lot of people either overlook this scene or, for most part, like, kind of misinterpret its meaning for the character that involved. And obviously, the thumbnail and title brought you in here. So obviously, we're talking about Videl versus Spopovich and the brutal beatdown that we saw from Toriyama and Toei and everyone who kind of took a part in actually making that scene happen. This makes a lot of people mad, I think.
Wait, hang on. Did you say Videl versus Spopovich? I thought with this video was supposed to be about Jacko and the Saint, like the Frieza soldier army. Dude, I'm not prepared for any of this.
It's one of these. It's one of those scenes. Jacko destroyed the Frieza army. That's not the. This is the brutal beatdown of Videl versus Spopovich. But guys,
I'm not prepared. I'm gonna have to go through my notes.
So if you find them, you want to tell people what you think about this and what you think people what do you think, like?
Oh yeah, I found them. Here we go. Yeah. No, we're good. We're in business. Right. So yeah, basically, my thoughts on the entire Videl and Spopovich fight was, personally, when I watched the fight, a lot of people are kind of disgusted, almost, for lack of a better word, with how Videl is kind of shown to get beaten down, and then how her character evolves from that. Mm-hmm. Well, personally, when I watch the scene, I don't really see it as all that, because I kind of feel like that scene could have happened a lot of the same way that it has done. It could have happened to other characters that would have served a similar kind of benefit to Gohan. And the entire purpose of the fight was really to get Gohan to get angry so that we could move on to the next plot point. So obviously it was just a plot device, really. But it was a very exciting one to watch. I mean, you don't go back and watch that scene, and there isn't a single person that at any point doesn't go, ooh.
Yeah, I was just thinking when I was watching this fight, and we were talking about it a little earlier, that this, in terms of where the series was at this point, we hadn't seen a brutal takedown of someone like this or of this stature in the series or the story at that point since basically either Frieza versus Vegeta or Recoome versus Vegeta back in the Namek saga. I mean, way back. I don't remember anyone being beat up to this degree any other way during the Cell saga or anything like that. I mean, unless you count the Cell Juniors, but I mean in terms of just one person being royally just overcome with someone that powerful, I didn't...
Yeah, the Cell Juniors just kind of got beat, like split in half and stuff. And I mean, Cell got a bit of a beat down, but the problem was everything that happened to Cell was caused by himself, so it kind of was a bit different.
Plus he's at this point, not that Videl wasn't, he was really cocky and he kind of walked into something way too, he kind of put himself in that position where Videl was just kind of putting herself into a tournament and just happened to be fighting Spopovich at that particular time. So, basically when I'm thinking of Spopovich versus Videl, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into this for me. Obviously, we were already talking about like the brutal takedown of Videl, but a lot of people kind of take this and point to this particular scene as being something that's kind of reminiscent of exactly how or why Toriyama is just the most sexist manga artist who ever existed and everything, because if Videl was a boy, then this beating would have informed her to actually get stronger and she would have become like the next Ten Shinhan or something like that. And why did she become she went and became a mother? When we first met her, she was so badass, and then after this particular scene, she became just this woman, she basically just existed to be in this ship relationship with Gohan that was forced on us one way or the other. So why did she change so much? Why did they have to make her get such a beatdown to change her the way they did? And I feel like that, from one way or another, is just something that I have never quite understood when people come and talk to me about this scene, because for me, this scene informed her character so much more than what we had seen previously. And the way I would explain this is basically when we first meet Videl, she's really kind of a hard ass, really kind of this I need to be a protector. I work with the police.
Moody teenager.
Moody teenager, but it's like I need to work with the police, stop robberies, become the strongest person. I need to become as strong, if not stronger than my father. And to me, you gotta think about exactly the way that she grew up. I mean, she was basically, if not a little older than Gohan, basically Gohan's age during the Cell Saga. She remembers everything that was going on. She remembers basically watching armies and everyone try to cities being destroyed and all this stuff after Cell. And then all she knows is that her father went in and told everyone that he killed Cell. She killed this guy who was taking down cities, taking down anyone who stood in his path. So when she goes and she talks to, she grows up in this environment, and then she realizes that her father is getting older. She needs to kind of take up the mantle as his only child. Like, she's the one who's destined to take up that mantle. She becomes attached to it. It becomes a kind of a goal for her to do this. And then at that point she meets Gohan, and she realizes very slowly, he teaches her, that these ki blasts and this flight, they're not tricks. They're not tricks or just like smoke and mirrors like she's been taught her whole life. These things are actually real, and you can utilize them to become stronger and make yourself stronger. But in a shonen manga, you don't necessarily learn from that mistake and become who you are unless you get into a fight. And not that Spopovich is strong. I mean, I think that Spopovich probably wouldn't have actually been able to beat Goku in the 21st or 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament, but he was strong enough to kind of brutally beat down Videl without Videl literally taking it sitting down, and she was actually able to fight him. But she actually got to experience that level of power, even if how insignificant it was to the Saiyans or Gohan or anyone else in that tournament arena. She was able to experience it, and then basically from that she starts to realize and learn and even kind of accept the thing that she's always known, that her father was not the one who took out Cell, and Gohan was. And that kind of frees her from this commitment that she's been living with for the last 7 her entire life, basically. And I think that is why we kind of see this really general progression of her from going from this martial artist into the mother that she is in Dragon Ball Super. And I feel like without this scene, it would have been something that wouldn't have made sense, wouldn't have been nearly as impactful as it is and always has been. I did a video a while ago with Amber talking about how I feel it's either Krillin or Videl even who has the best ending in Dragon Ball Z, because basically of this event and everything that led through after.
Yeah, that's the video, guys. Cheers for joining us.
Sorry. I was...
No, I'm kidding. It's funny, dude. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I do agree with you, and I do feel like one of the things is sort of like Videl goes through her entire moody teenage phase is where she feels like she's been lied to her entire life. Like, she's like, oh, these people are around there doing tricks and all this. Why aren't there any true martial artists like me and my dad? And then she gets to that point, and she fights Spopovich, and it almost turns around on her, and she's like, you know what? No, this shit is a lot more out of my league than I thought it was. Even if she wanted to push herself and get stronger, she has just realized how much farther ahead a lot of these people are than she is, and has realized that if anybody was going to save the Earth like they do in the arc that she is currently experiencing at this time, it's going to be them. It's not going to be her. And there's some critical thinking that really needs to be done. Like, do we really think that if Videl had taken all of her time and trained really hard that she would be anywhere near the strength that Goku was at the end of the series? No? Then Videl has probably worked that out for herself. And that doesn't mean that it was because she was a female and was like, oh, I got beaten down, so now I have to give up fighting. It's nothing to do with that so much as the fact that critical thinking and logic, Krillin doesn't keep training to try and become the strongest out of them all. And he's a bloke, and he's had those beatdowns himself. It really doesn't matter. It's literally just about the fact that they've almost become aware of their own limitations. And they are very perfectly aware and able to do a load of other things to be useful to these guys and to help save the world, but just not maybe be the center of attention or even use themselves to combat. I mean, we still get stuff with her doing the Great Saiyaman 2 and all that stuff, so she doesn't completely can it. And then later on, when she does get pregnant and has Pan, it's virtually like, it's just general sort of stuff. It's like when you're a parent and you don't still go out partying even though you've got a baby at home. It's like, just think logically, guys. She might, after Pan is grown up, because we haven't really seen anything like that. If we're taking GT out of context, after Pan is grown up, she might start continuing with martial arts again. We don't know. So this is the things that kind of bug me with this scene. It's because of its positioning in the series and her life that people take it a bit more seriously than I think it needs to be taken.
Oh, I completely agree. And the one thing I want to jump off on what you were talking about there is basically, like you said, Krillin, or Gohan even, probably the most controversial character in this entire series thus far.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that people sit around and they complain about these characters who basically in a shonen series get beat up, as you would in a shonen series, and then kind of decide not to fight anymore. And it's not because it's a betrayal of these particular characters. They are literally making this so. In my opinion, they're making these situations, these kind of beatdowns, in order to inform that, look, this isn't necessarily what these people want to do. Gohan doesn't want to fight. Krillin wants to be a father and a husband, and work as a policeman. Videl wants to be a mother and everything. Like, the thing is these characters need to go through these things. It's kind of a passing of the torch. We've seen Gohan take a beatdown from almost every single antagonist in the entire series. We saw Krillin take a beatdown from every antagonist in the entire series. Videl has to as well. But in this particular scene, in this particular arc in which she was introduced, there was nobody on the par that she could actually fight and not just completely die. And I think...
I was just about to say, to be honest, there's only really 3 people that continuously take beatings and get back up for them and continue that I can think of, and that's Piccolo, Vegeta, and Goku. And 2 of those people have made it very clear in their characters that they love to fight anyway. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. I would say as much as well. And the thing is I just don't necessarily understand where all the animosity or anything comes from, not only this scene, but how it kind of informed who Videl's character would be throughout the entire series thereafter.
Yeah, it's sort of alluded that she becomes really submissive afterwards and stuff, and it's not really that at all. It's just a coincidence of timing in a story. The entire relationship between her and Gohan was played up to make it very obvious, pretty much to give this scene an entire meaning. Because it was a reason to get Gohan angry so that people could see his power at the tournament. And that's exactly what it did. Mm. And it was just a nice link way to get all these characters in the same plot, where you had Mr. Satan and everybody searching for these things and tying them all together in their own way. People complain that the Buu Saga wasn't written fantastically, and yeah, it might not be written fantastically, but a lot of the plot devices that were strung together still work. Mm. A lot of them still do work. And it was still written pretty much for that reason, to build it together and to give it a sense. And that, if you want to look at it that way, Videl was essentially created as a character to have that scene.
Yeah, I think for the most part, especially since she was first kind of conceived as a character, then yeah, I think you're right. Like, she was created for this scene, and just how that scene kind of informed and developed for her character going onward hasn't been disingenuous either, is kind of what I'm trying to say as well. Is like, yeah, she had her moment in the spotlight for being a fighter. She did incredibly well. She didn't take it lying down, as we've already said. And what we're seeing now, even in Dragon Ball Super, where she's literally sitting there going, I have no qualms with being raised as a fighter. I was raised as a fighter, and I chose my path. She literally sits around and says that she explains she was not pushed in one direction or another. This is how she's been written to actually want to live her life, the same way that Gohan has, the same way that Krillin has, and everyone else. And we take so much offense to that just because this is a fighting shonen manga or anime series, that every character should want to fight, when you've already kind of said that only Vegeta and Goku are the ones who actually will keep getting beat down and get back up, because they are...
And Piccolo does as well sometimes.
Sometimes, but even just generally, those two people, and Goku even more particular, is the hero of the story. That is literally their character design to be. And everyone else can have dynamic character interactions and characteristics between them, because Goku will always take the brunt of every hero situation.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely, just as I say, because Goku's character is to get back up and keep fighting, and Vegeta's character is to get back up and keep fighting. And they do it in their own different ways, but that's their characters, and that's what makes them different from most of the other ones, and that's why they try to say that these Saiyans have the push to keep fighting and stuff like this. And that, to me, just, none of really... I think Ten Shinhan is probably the only human that continues to train at this point, but he doesn't do it so much because he wants to be stronger than Goku at this point. It's really at this point because he just wants to keep up, and it's probably become a bit of without training, what else do I have? Sort of thing. So that's realistically the only human I can... I mean, even Mr. Satan doesn't. I mean, and look at how much weight he's lost in Dragon Ball Super.
All that muscle.
Oh, man. So realistically, if you just look at it logically, if it happened to you, would you continue to fight? Probably not. And it's the same reason that people that don't continuously win fights in UFC, MMA, WWE even, for that matter, get put into heavyweight championship opportunities because they get beat down and they're not ready for it. And if you're going to be putting somebody in a title match, say it's Goku versus Boo, and this person from the very, very lower card who hasn't won a fight so far in a while, and you stick him in there, Are you going to expect them to keep going for it? No, they're probably not. They're going to hang back a bit and be like, okay, you know what? You guys got this. I'm just going to stand back here because I'm not stupid. If anything, the fact that Videl doesn't continue to try and get herself in these stupid situations is a mark for her intelligence.
And like you said, she keeps doing the Great Saiyaman 2 thing, so she hasn't necessarily given up on it entirely, which is a fantastic concept for her character, and we don't know where she's going to be when Pan gets older. We probably will never see it, but I do think that is a legitimate point to make, is that this scene has informed her character to kind of help her evolve and understand the impact or the severity of every type of situation, because she actually felt it physically. And then basically she still has her passions in life. She still likes to do crime fighting from time to time, but she also wants to focus on being a mother and kind of a wife to Gohan, which she's doing pretty well, if we see in Super. And so I think that's really basically all that we have to say about this. I think that's who she is. This is what she had to go through, and I think we're better off for it, and she's better off for it. And so I think I don't consider it sexist. I don't consider a betrayal of her character to that extent.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I really have no other points to make really about the fact that you've covered pretty much everything in that little statement just there. Yeah.
So anyway, guys, like always, make sure to go check out Kanji. Check out me if you haven't ever seen my channel before, but also make sure to check out Candy. I have to say that whenever I'm in a video with him, because he'll make...
Check out Candy!
No, I have to say check out me, because you'll say check out me, and obviously they're checking out me right now. But guys, go check out Kanji. His link will be in the description below. He will be annotated in the video, because it just makes it a lot easier for you guys to sit around and click that stuff if and when you're on the computer. So, guys, make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And yes, I will always keep saying rate Kanji. I don't know why.
You knew exactly what I was thinking.
So anyway, guys.
Welcome to 2008, everyone.
So anyway, guys. We will have more awesome content coming up here in the near future with Kanji and myself. So make sure to check us out later on those dates, I guess. And yeah, I think that's everything. So Bye.
Bye!